And US and Chinese officials have agreed to seek an extension of their 90-day tariff truce after 2 days of trade talks in Stockholm, which aimed at cooling an escalating trade war that threatens the global economy. The current truce is set to expire on the 12th of August, and the final decision on extending it rests with US President Donald Trump. And after 2 days of talks in Stockholm, US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Trade Representative Jamieson Greer announced a willingness to extend the tariff truce with China, though no major breakthroughs were made. Both sides described the discussions as constructive. The 90-day tariff truce was established to prevent tariffs from escalating to triple-digit percentages, a move that could seriously disrupt global trade. The decision to extend now lies with President Trump, who has the discretion to approve, reject, or modify tariff levels. Donald Trump, returning from Scotland, where he signed a trade deal with the European Union, said that he had just been briefed by Treasury Secretary Bessent and felt optimistic. He confirmed that a meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping is likely before the end of the year.
Mr. President, your Treasury Secretary and Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce, the China talks wrapped today. Any sort of reaction coming out of the meeting? They're extending the truce. Are you pleased with that?
I just had a phone call from Scott Bessent and had a very good meeting with China. And it seems that, they're going to brief me tomorrow. We'll either approve it or not. But he felt very good about the meeting. Better than he felt yesterday.
Trade Representative Greer highlighted some progress, stating that while the US still runs an annual trade deficit with China, it is projected to shrink by at least $50 billion this year. A major point of discussion was the acceleration of rare earth magnet supplies from China to the US, including supply chains routed through third countries. And these materials are critical to US technology and defense industries. Secretary Bessent described China as the most imbalanced economy in modern times, noting that China accounts for 30% of global manufacturing. China, in fact, holds a 2% current account surplus relative to global GDP, an unprecedented level not seen since the British Empire in the 1870s. Now, these imbalances are considered unsustainable and heavily influence tariff policies. Concerns were also raised about China's purchase of approximately 90% of Iran's sanctioned oil and alleged sales of $15 billion in dual-use technology to Russia.
We expressed our concern for their purchases of sanctioned Iranian oil, of which they buy about 90%. We also expressed our regret that we believe that they had sold Russia about $15 billion of dual-use technologies. But the overall tone of the meetings was very constructive.
Bessent warned that under pending U.S. legislation, tariffs on sanctioned Russian oil could range from 0% to 500%, with Trump currently applying a 100% tariff.
Is a bill that will give the president discretion to apply secondary tariffs on sanctioned Russian oil from, I believe it's from 0 to 500%. I believe he's used 100%. And we've heard from several of our European counterparts, NATO allies, even Canada, well, Canada is in NATO, that they will be following on that. So we would expect most of the Western alliance that has been supporting Ukraine to follow on that. So I think anyone who buys sanctioned Russian oil should be ready for this.
Bessent noted the U.S. economy is performing well, with inflation experiencing its biggest decline in 4 years as of May, and said that the trade talks are becoming more engaged rather than more difficult.